Carolyn Doobie here. What's the play for today? Well, it's time for another video in the Let's Play series. Now, Let's Play is all about rediscovering play, very specific ways that I was able to go from stress to play. This theme is taking non-art supplies and using them for art. So what non-art supply am I using? It's a tool. It is actually used to clean your keyboard. So it basically shoots out a bunch of what feels like air and it blows dust off of things, and that way you can keep your keyboard or electronics nice and clean. But the box that it was in said it had hundreds of uses, and I thought, you know, it just might. So I picked up a can to bring home and play with. Now, what this is, this stuff comes out of this really pointy little straw right here so that you get a whole lot of air coming out very quickly and with power. And I'm going to use that to make ink go all over the place and create these wonderful, delicate, sort of random patterns. Well, I'm going to start on this art journal page with some words from my fridge poetry stencil that I designed for Stencil Girl products. I am just going to stencil some of the words. I'm using a cosmetic sponge and some black acrylic paint so that it's basically the fastest, easiest way for me to do this. And I'm not spending a lot of time masking stuff off, but if it's near the edge of the stencil, I'm just going to put a piece of paper next to it. That way I don't have to be careful about paint going over the edge. I'm going to put a third word on here, the word dare. Some reason I'm liking those words on the edge today. So again, that paper is just as a way to keep any of my stuff from going over. But guess what? There's going to be an oops. I got some paint on one of the other letters. End of the world? Absolutely not. It's an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. And that little oops is actually what led to the step at the very end. Now right now this page has a lot of white space on it and I want to put some color on it, but I want to protect just a little bit of the white space around each word. What I'm doing now is stenciling these same three words on that paper that I ripped up to use as my sort of masking, my quick and easy masking type thing. I'm not even worried about doing a careful job stenciling this. It doesn't matter. I just need to know about where the words are, because what I want to do is cut a mask or something that will protect part of the white paper that's in about the size of the word. Now, if you've seen many of my videos, you know how I feel about mistakes. They used to stress me out, but they don't anymore because I simply call them an oops, an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. Like the word joy there, I didn't like how I'd cut it out. It wasn't quite big and full as what I wanted, so I simply stenciled it again, and then I'm going to cut a larger shape around it. Now, what's the opportunity in this? I don't know. At some point it will present itself. It isn't clear to me right now, and it doesn't have to be clear to me right now. It's just an oops, and really, was there any harm with this? It's just another little piece of paper. Well, now I'm going to move my paper on top of the words so that they're covering up or protecting that white space. I could be crazy and, take the time to maybe attach it down with a little bit of tape or something, but I'm going to live on the edge. I'm just going to rest them there and see what happens. So now it's time to get some color on this. I'm going to use Dylusion spray inks. They're vibrant, they're full of color. I love playing with these, and they're very wet. And guess what happens to paper when you get it wet? It seems to curl a little bit, and maybe I should have taken the time to actually tape down some of those paper words because they're starting to curl with all the yellow and the green Dylusions hitting it. Nah, it worked out just fine. I didn't need to take the time, all those hours it would have taken me to put some tape on it to adhere it. Now, before you go ahead and start using your compressed gas air can thingy, I want you to really read the safety part. Now, normally I don't care about reading directions, but safety, that's a whole different deal. And there are some safety precautions with this. They make a lot of sense. They're not hard to do, but it's really important that you read this so that you can safely use your can of compressed gas. Well, now it's time to get that air blowing around here. So I've got the little straw that goes right on the nozzle. That gives you a really focused burst of air out of that little tip. I'm going to use some acrylic ink here. And basically what you want is something very wet, very fluid, so that when the air hits it, it will run. So the thicker it is, the less that it will run with the air. Now this stuff is going to come blasting out of that little nozzle tip, so I want to get the tip of it right next to the ink that I want to run, and when I'm in position, I'm just going to pull that trigger and send that air in there to send this wave of ink kind of dancing around. I can't really control where it goes, but what I can control is how much ink is on there. So I've pretty much used up all the ink that's there, so now I'm just going to put some more ink because I want this to go higher and farther. You might wonder, why am I scooching down to the bottom of the screen? That's because to really get that burst of air, my can needs to be upright, and to keep it the paper level and this, so I've actually got the can is actually below the countertop level, so it's kind of hanging off the end. Really hard to explain, but when you play around with this, you'll understand that it's just, you gotta keep the can very level if you want to get the most power to come out of it. And I'm just going to keep adding more and more ink in places and then sending it loose with the air bursts. I never know exactly what they're going to do, but I do know the coolest, most detailed, more delicate looks come from really getting that nozzle right next to those little bits of ink. Well, my original plan was not to use black for this part, but to actually bring in the entire rainbow with all these colors of ink, except that oops by the word dare, where I had that R from another word that I stenciled by accident, well, that's what led me to do the black. And I gotta say, I was thinking rainbow with this, but I'm really liking just the green and the green-yellow vibe with the white and the black. So I am so thankful that I had that oops, because I would have gone a different direction had it not been for that little bit of mis-stenciling over there. So now see how when I go around that R just disappeared? You don't even see it anymore. I mean, you and I know it was there, but nobody else does. Well, thanks so much for joining me for this week's Let's Play video. Now, you can find more play over on the blog at acolorfuljourney.com, and of course here on YouTube I've got a channel full of over 300 videos loaded with lots of play. But what if you want even more play than that? What if you'd like a free play workshop, one called Permission to Play, which is an introduction to mixed media and art journaling? I've got that too. It's all free for you and over on the blog. Thanks for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.